Thank you for watching KTN News. Welcome back to Africa Speaks as we continue with the conversation around dispute resolution and also just how that is affecting business in the country and the region as well. And in studio with me is Desmond Odhiambo, advocate of the High Court and also member of the ICC, that is the International Chamber of Commerce. Desmond, as we were going for the break, we were talking about the need of people to come together to just embrace these alternative dispute mechanisms. But what exactly do we mean by these alternative dispute mechanisms, that we need to appreciate all these new technologies? What exactly do we mean?
Yes, so when we talk about alternative disputes mechanism, we are talking about other ways of resolving disputes other than the courts. And I can just highlight, for instance, maybe just two of them. So one of the ways that we can resolve disputes is through mediation. Mm-hmm. So mediation is whereby you have a third party that comes in to facilitate a discussion between the two disputing parties and just to help them reach a settlement, a negotiated settlement. So, for example, if I could use, for instance, the doctors' strike. Mm-hmm. So a mediator can come, as a third party, as a neutral party, to be able to bring to the table the doctors on one hand, the doctors' union, and the government on the other hand, and just help them reason together and help them just discuss so that they can reach a negotiated settlement. Mm-hmm. And the key word here is negotiated settlement. So the
not bulldozing.
Not bulldozing. Not bulldozing. So it becomes that it's a solution that is a win-win solution for both parties because it has come from the two parties. The mediator only helps them to discuss it, but does not make a decision. So that's one of the ways. And the judiciary has actually embraced mediation and has launched, and it has been in operation for quite some time now, what we call the court-annexed mediation. Mm-hmm. So when somebody files a case, the judiciary, now especially for commercial cases, they screen through it and see, is it suitable to be resolved fast, for an attempt to be made for it to be resolved through mediation. Mm-hmm. And then if it is suitable, then they have a list of mediators. Mm-hmm. And they ask the parties to meet this mediator who would help them discuss. Mm-hmm. And he would be able to help them narrow down the issues so that they can see if they can settle it. And the success so far has been quite good. Actually, as per the Chief Justice's latest report, she indicated that, in the last 1 year alone, about 7 billion in terms of monetary value, the cases that were resolved, released back 7 billion into the economy. So there's an increasing awareness that you can actually resolve your dispute. You just need somebody else to help you meet eye to eye, rather than go before a judge who would give a decision where only one party will be happy and the other party will have lost. So that's one instance. Another ADR mechanism is arbitration, which we had talked about earlier, but maybe to explain the difference between mediation and arbitration. So in arbitration is where you approach an institute, a private institute, for instance, ICC Kenya, and you ask ICC Kenya to appoint an arbitrator, to appoint somebody to come and listen to your dispute. So instead of going to the courts, which is funded by public funds and where you have to wait on the queue, to get a chance to hear your cases, if you go before the ICC Kenya, from their list of arbitrators, you are able to get an arbitrator within a matter of a few days who can be able to listen to your dispute. And the arbitrator, unlike mediation, will give a decision. So he gives a decision like a judge. So the only difference is that this is a private mechanism. It's not the public courts. And the benefits, for instance, of arbitration in general is that the speed, first and foremost. So instead of taking 3 years to resolve your dispute, you can take even a year or less to resolve your dispute. Then in terms of even the flexibility, there are ways that, as parties you can choose. So instead of, for instance, having a physical session, you can even decide to resolve the dispute virtually.
Virtually, yes.
Yeah, so that flexibility is what is attractive.
And just so we're clear, is in both these ADR mechanisms, both arbitration and the other one are both initiatives that are recognized by the courts and by the law.
Absolutely, absolutely. So they are recognized by the courts and by the law. So the Constitution recognizes alternative dispute resolution, and actually even promotes it. So it is recognized in the Constitution. So any decision that is reached through arbitration is binding and it is enforced by the court. So you can only maybe set it aside on very limited grounds. So it is recognized by the courts. Likewise, also the mediation. Once the parties agree to a settlement, you are bound by that agreement that you have, and you can only set it aside on limited grounds. So the Constitution does recognize it, and they are enforceable in a court. So it's as effective as a court judgment.
As a court order.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was simply asking that because we know the issue with the doctor strike that is ongoing, the 2017 CBA that was deposited in court after mediation and everything that was involved, but that's another conversation that we'll be getting into.
Yes.
But yes, just want to thank you very much for gracing the show today as we continue to have this discussion. I think it is timely that we have this conversation because we continue to urge the international community for investors to come to this country. But what happens when there is a dispute that needs to be handled? We've heard there are many instances, different options and alternatives that we can take into place. And ICC, as Desmond says, is one of the areas that you should go to get the assistance that you need. It's a conversation that will continue and must continue. Asante sana and all the best. Now, a colonial era